Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Profit Acceleration Group Coaching. And today we're going to be working on whatever you want to work on for 2021, whatever you want to create. And I have some exercises, some guidelines, and I want to start with this because 2021, no matter what life brings us, we might as well plan to have it be thrilling, to be exciting, to be the best year yet. Why not? And this comes from Abraham, Esther, and Jerry Hicks. People say, if I'm always setting goals and reaching for the future, then am I not squandering my now? And we say, if in your now you're using a future event to make you feel good, you are still feeling good in your now. And that's the best use of now that you could ever find. So there's a difference between future tripping and always worrying about the future. But planning and creating a future that we love is a beautiful thing. And it should feel really good. And I'm going to talk about mindset as well. Before we go to that. So welcome. There's nobody new in the group, so I'm not going to go over who I am and the guidelines, but this is just an open forum, so feel free to ask questions, get clarification, ask for what you want.
Who was the guy in the tie?
Oh, that's me at 2 years old. Born to be a businessman. All right, we're going to jump right in. And there is no point, I've found, there's no point in setting goals unless you have reasons behind them, especially financial goals. And life happens. I heard a presentation recently on planning. I spent 4 hours going through a 3-part webinar to prepare for this because I've given this talk so many times, I get tired of hearing myself. So I wanted to bring in some new ideas. And I think it's the mindset. We've all set goals, we've made plans, and we've taken action, but we haven't always reached our goals. And I believe the reason we didn't is 2 reasons. One, we either didn't take massive action or the courageous action that we need to, or we didn't have the mindset. So that's going to be a big part of today. Les Brown, has anybody heard Les Brown, seen Les Brown speak? If you haven't, look him up on YouTube. He's one of the best speakers in the country. And he says, he's funny too. He's animated, he's funny, he's fantastic. He says, be hungry. Be hungry. If we set our goals too low, it's like a thermostat. We get comfortable, we make a certain amount of money, get a certain amount of business, and the drive stops. So be hungry, but be hungry not just for food or money, but be hungry. What's your calling? What do you, or what is, when you say, what's my purpose on the planet? And either you answer or God answers or whatever you believe in answers. What is the answer? I've meditated on this and the answer, let me see if somebody's trying to add. There's a chat, sorry. And the answer I get is to help people live the life of their dreams. And I'm doing this mostly through entrepreneurialism and helping people build the business of their dreams. What's your calling? What's your passion? Bob Marley was interviewed when he got shot. I don't know if anybody remembers that. But 2 weeks later, he played a show, and the interviewer asked him, why are you playing a show? You should take more time and heal. And he said, people who spread darkness don't take a day off. Why should I? So what's your light? What's the love? What's the positivity that you can bring to the world? People need us. The other whys, we might be doing a financial goal. I have a financial goal as an example, and I want to have a cozy home. It's the cozy home that drives me, not making $20,000 a month in my business gross. Money, we'll talk about money in a bit, but what do you want for yourself? And it's good to be selfish. Take care of yourself. Self-love is what sets us up to really serve others in a powerful way. What do you want for your family, your community? How do you want to give back? Do you need more money in your retirement account? Nowadays, if you invest with mutual funds, a good return would be about 5%. So if you want to make $100,000 a year, you're going to need $2 million in your retirement account. Might be time to step up our financial goals, but the reason is to have a safe, comfortable retirement, including health benefits, which a lot of people don't look at. At some point, we're all going to probably not be in perfect health. Fun, travel, stuff, kids' college. So think about your why. Brainstorm. What are some things you want? And it's okay to want. You deserve to want, and you deserve to have those things. We all work hard. We all come from the heart and serve others. So the why is where it starts before we set our goals. So the last word, a lot of people don't like the word budget. But what I mean by this is, if you want a Ferrari, how much would that cost? I put a picture of a Ferrari, the Ferrari Roma. It's their latest car. And I just love the lines. I don't know if I'll ever have one. The reason I put it on my computer and I'm showing it to you today is because I have some BS stories about Ferraris and people who buy Ferraris. Like they're pretentious, or they're just trying to be a chick magnet, or no offense, Stacy. But the bottom line for me is it's a beautiful car. It's an incredible feat of engineering. I love the sound of it. I've never driven one. When I was a teenager, my dad's friend, who was a highly, highly successful businessman and still is, had a Ferrari. And when I was 15 and a half with my driver's permit, he offered to let me drive it. And I was so scared. I said no. It's one of my life regrets. But yeah, this triggers me. And it's good to have triggers in our life, like dream big, get triggered, and identify what are those stories? What are the negative stories you have about something that you want? And it's okay to want, and you deserve it. So let's see, where are we going? And kind of going, we talked about, if you guys were there, we talked about money psychology, and that money is meaningless until we ascribe a meaning to it. So exercises we've done in the past are answering or finishing the sentence, well, rich people are blank. So what are your subconscious beliefs about rich people? Most likely, rich people aren't anything. There's nice rich people, there's mean rich people, there's greedy rich people, there's generous rich people. They're just people. They happen to be rich. So what I'm trying to help with is get beyond those subconscious beliefs that have kept us stuck for decades and move beyond and actually realize it. Today is not just about the structure. I think many of us have done the structure, and we'll get to that. But what's the mindset? How can we Money magnifies who we are. And I've used this example many times and I love it. Mother Teresa says, reach high, for stars lie hidden in your soul. Dream deep, for every dream precedes the goal. Money is a magnifier of who we are. If we have bad habits like smoking, drugs, whatever, and we get more money, guess what we're going to do more of? If we're charitable, generous, we're going to give more. Mother Teresa and her organization is one of the wealthiest people on the planet. And if you gave her more money, what would she do with it? So money's just a magnifier of who we are. So it's awesome to be on a path of continuous growth and continuous improvement and continue to be better and better people. I talked about the Ferrari. What does this mean? Number one cheerleader. Who is your number one cheerleader? Anybody?
We
Claudia.
should be our own cheerleader.
That's exactly right. And I don't know about you guys, but my cheerleader isn't so awesome all the time. So that's one of my practices for 2021 is to identify when I'm not cheering for myself, when I have negative stories about something and turning them around. So be your number one cheerleader. You deserve it. It's your time. I think, anybody have any questions or comments? It's our time. That's what we're here for. And thank you guys for investing in yourself and being here and investing your time. I'm really honored. And I know we've gone through this before, but in order for goals to work, the first thing is they have to be inspiring. If a goal doesn't light you up, set another goal. There's no shoulds. You know, we don't have to do this to impress our parents, our loved ones. This is for us. What lights you up? And they have to be written and clear, like crystal clear, and have a deadline. So S in SMART stands for specific, M measurable. I like to put the deadline in measurable. And then A, achievable. R is realistic or relevant. And T is thrilling. Since we already have a deadline or time in measurable, T can stand for thrilling. Any questions here? Claudia, I liked when you did the clapping thing there. Appreciate the cheerleading.
Well, Jim, I always appreciate you. Sometimes it just feels great to be here and just to be kind of reset and recentered. And, you know, I just feel like, you know, when I'm done here, it's like, oh, I'm going to go ride my bike. I feel great. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that's a great reminder. In my notes, I have 2021 is a clean slate. We get a do-over every January 1st, or every day for that matter. But it just, you know, there's something about 2020. I don't know what it is about 2020, but people are talking about it. And people are talking about 2021. And how do we create a plan that works? How are you going to improve your GPA? So GPA, I just made up, I think it was last night, goals, plans, action.
I like that.
We talked about the why. We talked about goals. The next thing is the plan. The plan
should be GPA just started.
I love how to improve your GPA and then using your acronym there. That's great.
Awesome. Thanks, Brett.
That would be a great blog post, maybe, if you could do that.
Oh, I like that. Let me write that down.
I gave you an assignment, so there you go.
Yeah. And I will do that blog post by the end of the year.
But I'll be glad to share it with people.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Beautiful. Brett, share. And you see what I did right there is I put a deadline on it because I have action items all over the place, all over my desk. And so that's what's going to be really important. Write down the goals, write down your plan or strategy, and then write down your actions, and then schedule your actions. And this goes when you schedule for yourself, but also schedule for your team if you have a team. And don't ask your team to write a blog or, write some content for the website. I mean, you can ask them to do an action, but a lot of people miss the deadline piece. When can you get that done by? And if they say a date that's beyond when you want it done by, then it's important to negotiate and get agreement. Oh, I really need, 2 weeks from now isn't going to work for me. I need it by the end of next week. I know it's Christmas. What can I take off your plate? Or how can I help you do this? Right? So they don't have to say no. It's like no and, right? So really all of us stepping up in clear communications. And I did that with a client yesterday. I needed some testimonials and I needed some web content, redoing their website. And I just said, when can you have that to me by? And so it can be a really polite thing, but it's really powerful because then it gets locked in their head. And when you remind them, they've already agreed to it. So it's okay. The plan should have several elements. Well, what's the goal? And there's a difference between actions and goals. So a goal could be to make $10,000 a month by the end of first quarter 2021. That's a very clear, specific, measurable goal, and thrilling for some people, depending on where you're at. And what are the actions that need to be taken to get there? So sometimes backwards action planning works. So you imagine what's going on when you get to that level, and then backtrack into the actions that you need to take to get there. I think, Simone, you have a business that's amenable to really being a good example for this. You do sales, so you want to make a certain amount of commissions. You would back into how many sales in gross dollars would that be for the company, and then what's your conversion ratio? How many appointments do you need to set? What are the actions needed to take to get the leads or to schedule those appointments and get those locked in? So those are examples of really mapping out in sequence what needs to be done and by when and who's going to do it, and then schedule it in your calendar.
Can I just
add? Do you want to add to that, Simone?
Yeah. I've got it broken down to exactly how many calls I have to make in an hour to reach my goals. And I find that makes a big difference. So if I'm doing something else and I don't achieve that many calls, I'll set everything else aside to hit that target.
Yeah.
The only way that I know that I'm going to get as many calls as I need made to book the appointments, to make the sales, so that every single time I pick up the phone, I know that phone call is worth $145. Whether they say yes or no, I've broken it down into per call made.
That is a fantastic example because no's are worth money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that gets us beyond the psychology of, failure or, all that. The other thing that I've found to be really useful is I have a tendency to overplan or bite off more than I can chew, which is what I'm encouraging us to set big goals and stretch. But what I do is I expect myself to and my team to be able to do too much in quarter one. So what I've done in the past is I've just taken a piece of paper and I've drawn a line down the middle, a line across the middle. So I have 4 sections. And then I can take my big initiatives, big projects like finishing a book or redoing my website or starting group coaching last year was a big one. Learning a complex software. So what projects do you want to complete in order to reach your goals in 2021? And how can you spread those out? How can you get the revenue producing activities up front, which allows you to get more team and get more help and accelerate? So scheduling, like Simone said, on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis in as much detail as possible, but also have kind of a big picture. And where that helps me is whenever I do the quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 plan, I put way too much in quarter 1 because I'm so excited. And it forces me to not let go of, not forget, but just choose powerfully, prioritize, and delay some things. And it takes the pressure off me and it makes me be able to focus. So if I put 3 initiatives in quarter 1, that could be 1 initiative a month, and that's doable. And usually it turns out to be a stretch.
So Jim, where is the line between a stretch and unrealistic?
The line lies in my best answer. I want to repeat the question because it's really important. Where does the line exist between a stretch goal and a silly goal or a goal that isn't based in reality? I used to do contract coaching for someone, and we got a lot of clients that wanted to be millionaires. And the first question I would ask, they'd say, "Can you coach me to become a millionaire?" And I'd say, "Yes, absolutely." And we go into the why. But the first question I would ask is, "How much did you make last year?" And the reason I did that is because you want to know where you're at. And that's the summative evaluation. Where are you at? And now we're talking about where do you want to go? You'll have a gut feeling when either you're doing it for somebody else, you're doing it to impress somebody, or there just isn't, there's a disconnect is the best word I can say. It's like a stretch goal is a rubber band that you take the one end of the rubber band and you put it where you're at, and you stretch the rubber band to where you want to go, your goal. If that rubber band breaks, there's no longer a subconscious pull from your goal because you don't believe that you can do it. So faith and connection to reality are the keys. And you don't have to know exactly how you're going to get there, but you do have to have a gut feeling that you can do it. Did that answer your question adequately?
No, but
Do you want to give an example?
Well, if we're looking at this year as a go by for growth, which for none of us was a real year, but we have to base growth of next year on this year, it's just kind of, well, how do we, I don't want to make the goals so big that they're unrealistic and I'm self-sabotaging, but also I want to make bigger goals so we can get there. I know, if you shoot for the moon, you're going to land on top of the mountain. So I'm okay with that. But I'm just, I don't know when to make it realistic versus unrealistic.
I gotcha. And thank you for bringing that up, because that happens to all of us. And the first thing is make it thrilling. And, answer the question, and we're going to do some exercises soon. What do you want? And what happens traditionally with large corporations and with people is they take their past results and they put it in their future. So last year we increased gross income by 10%. So let's go for 11% this year, or 12%. So it's like a train track. And my encouragement is go for what you want. It changes, unless, if you've only ever made like 25,000 a year, making $1 million in a year might be too big of a stretch. So what are some milestones to help you get there? You can still have that goal, but maybe make $1 million in 3 years or 4 years. So you can expand the timeline. So don't take your past and put it into your future. Set your goal and work backwards from that goal. And the power that comes from that is that we think differently. That's the reason I set my goal for 20,000 a month, is because I know that based on my hourly rate and the amount of hours and the energy it takes to do that, I can't do that by myself. So it's going to force me to have new software, new systems, gain efficiency, have training materials. It's going to stretch me, and I'm going to have to operate in new ways to reach that goal.
Can I add to that?
Yes, please.
Vanessa, a good idea might be to take your last 2 or 3 years, take your average, and then bump it up by 10 or 15%. And that'll give you an average, and it'll still give you a growth, but you won't be stuck on 2020 numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a great solution from 2020, but it's also an example of taking your past and putting it in your future.
Yeah.
And I've coached people in businesses very often to increase their income, increase their profits more specifically by 50%, or triple their gross income in a 2-3 year period. So be careful of setting standards based on, I don't mean to step on your idea, because that was really good feedback. But I really want us to go for it this year. And I was listening to a webinar by a guy named Eric Lofholm, who's an international sales trainer. And his goal was to get 2,000 people on this webinar. That was his goal. That's what he really wanted. And he set a goal purposefully of getting 5,000 people on the webinar, and then created an action plan to do that. And as you guys know, with marketing, oftentimes marketing works half or less as good as we think it's gonna. When we think we're gonna be overwhelmed with our marketing, it usually doesn't. It works as a percentage of that. So he ended up having 1,600 people on his webinar, which is a fantastic accomplishment. So set the goal to make your brain and your subconscious think differently, and congratulate yourself on whatever result you create. And if you learn something, that's fantastic too. And when you set your goals, the last thing I want to talk about here, because these exercises are really cool. is give yourself some rewards, your team some rewards for hitting milestones, for hitting your goal. What would be a really nice treat? You see this picture here on this slide. Something I love space, I love nature, I love a view, and I've had this goal of having a home with a cozy home. It doesn't have to be big, but cozy with some nice landscaping. It's good for entertaining, it's relaxing, it's inspiring, has a view of the water. And I found this picture this morning. So, put a picture of your treat, of your reward. My financial goals are set specifically to buy a home in 2021. It may not be quite this home, it might be a stepping stone home. But this really inspires me. It's like, yeah, let's go for it. But the money doesn't. I've tried money goals for many years and not necessarily reached them. I've improved over time, but we want something that pulls us emotionally. That's exciting. And it could be a vacation, it could be, shoes, it could be jewelry, something like if I collect coins and there's a gold coin that I really want that costs $2,000. So I haven't set a specific goal, but let's say I'm making $8,000 a month and I want to make $20,000 a month. Maybe when I get to 12 for a couple months, then I can buy that coin. So what's your reward? What's your treat? And it's always good to treat your team as well. Great questions and great suggestions. Thank you, guys. So exercise number 1, 2021 is the year of blank. What's your 2021 theme? Could be one word. Last year, my theme was leverage, as an example. This year, I have 3 things: visibility, team, and systems. So visibility is getting out of my comfort zone, being courageous, taking massive action in my marketing, in my videos, in my social media, et cetera, et cetera. So 2021 is the year of blank. Anybody have some examples? And you can change it, just, whatever comes to mind.
Well, my answer I come up with first, Jim, is growth.
That was my answer.
Okay. Is there a specific area of growth?
Well, for me, it would be business growth, revenue growth, but I want to see it as personal growth too, and just growth.
Wonderful. Okay. Fantastic. And Stacy, what does it mean to you?
Well, for me, it is obviously I need more revenue growth because I need revenue to increase profitability. So that's where I need to grow. But it would also include growing the business with employees, right? Because I need that in order to add the revenue, the profitability, and those things.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Yeah. So your financial goal is beyond what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll grow as a leader, grow in marketing, grow in delegation.
Grow my customer base, grow just everything.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
We need to bloom. That's it.
And then the next exercise is to choose a superhero, an avatar. Who do you want to be like? Being massive action, courageous action, I talk about all the time, but who are we going to be? Who are we going to edify or emulate, I guess is a better word. So it could be Superman, it could be a superhero, or it could be a historical person that inspires you. For some reason, Winston Churchill came to mind for me. And the reason is because he seemed, well, at one, he was very clever, and I thought he was super funny at times, but he was also unabashed, and he didn't seem to take things personally. He was just a powerful leader. So that's just an example. It could be Jesus. It could be, anybody. So just like something visual, something when you're having a down day and you want to pump yourself up. What can you picture? How can you, like do the Superman pose and get into that feeling, get out of depression or victim or demotivation.
I guess I need to create a sign chick avatar.
Nice. The next exercise is just to have fun and brainstorm some 2021 goals. And while you're doing this, I'm just going to throw out some ideas, little reminders. Just write down the first thing that comes to mind. Get it to 80% and then tweak it, change it. The idea here, the end result is to set some goals, create action plans, deadlines, and send your plan to me via email by the end of 2020. So December 31st, 12:59 or 11:59 p.m. Pacific. So what are your goals as far as money? And if your money goal is in gross income, remember profitability. What do you want after expenses? What are your goals as far as team? What are your goals as far as content? Are you going to blog twice a month? Are you going to write a book? Do you need more pages for your website? This can include blogs, videos, podcasts, interviews, public speaking. What systems do you want to put in place or improve or get to know better in 2021? How can you add to your offerings, your funnel? What other products or services can you offer? How can you enhance the products or services that you currently offer? Do you want to do any public speaking? Do you want more leads? If so, how many? And remember the difference. As soon as we think of leads, we start thinking of, oh, I need to network more. So that's an action, networking. But the goal would be to, build an email list or get a certain amount of leads per week, appointments. What are your personal goals for 2021? Whether it's relationship, your health, weight is a common one. What am I missing? What other goals might we set for 2021? And again, we're brainstorming. You don't have to do them all.
I'm thinking maybe get rid of a bad habit. Like me, I stay up too late, and then it kind of derails the day next day. And
Claudia, did you look ahead in the notes?
oh no,
That's great. That's our next exercise.
okay,
So feel free to continue to brainstorm. And I just recommend there's a model we can use for our business. I use the 5-pointed star model. And this might be a good reminder for business goals. You know, there's financial, of course. There's sales, there's marketing, there's leadership, and there's operations. So operations includes systems, streamlining, processes, customer service. So if that helps.
Can you say those one more time, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
Financial, and I'll expand on that as well. Financial is, well, obviously gross income, profits, expenses, but also tax strategy. What systems are you using? Are you using QuickBooks? Do you have custom reports? Are you looking at them in a timely manner? Those are all critical things for a business to run like a business in the financial. So that's number one. 2 is sales. These aren't in any specific order. I'm just going around the points of the star. 3 is marketing. And obviously that's a whole ball of worms. Leadership. Venice liked that phrase. Leadership. So team, job descriptions, ads for getting new people, interview questions, expectations, reviews, rewards, payroll. So that's all leadership. And then operations is the 5th one. So customer service, systems, processes, basically delivering what it is that you promise to people and sell to people.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next exercise is choose one behavior that you'll change. One behavior that will make a profound impact on 2021. What's a behavior you've worked on for decades that you want to change, that you're just like, you're done with it, or it's time to change? I have a super funny example. When I was a kid, I was a nervous, anxious child, and I used to bite my fingernails. And this is kind of gross, but I stopped it for good by stopping it I changed my story around it. Like I didn't even think about it, but I was like, what can I do to stop this? And a friend of mine had a little medicine container, and he had his fingernail clippings in it. Like it was like half full. And so I actually did. I got a jar from my mom and I started trimming my fingernails. And by shifting the focus from stopping something to actually creating something, I know this is a crazy example, but I never bit my fingernails again. So, you know, what's the story that you have behind that behavior? How can you change your story? How can you do it as a streak for 45 days? And just like, how can you draw the line in the sand and just say, I'm done? Or it could be starting a behavior. For me, it's eating more salads. more fruits and vegetables. The other thing is, instead of a late night snack, I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to do more social media, video, and follow-up, which I've already shared with you guys. So those are some examples. Don't judge me for my fingernail story. It worked. It's crazy. And it's memorable, right? So
I think
The
we all
next-
probably have a story.
yep. I think another behavior is I'm going to try to stop saying I'm going to stop saying So choose one inspiring goal.
Need an jar.
That's a good one. So my goal is to buy a cozy little home in 2021. What lights you up? What's the one goal that lights you up? The one that it's the leader. It excites you, but it also, I did it. At least I was aware of that one. But Stacy was talking about a certain amount of income and getting more team and getting more leads and more business. So what is the goal and what's behind that goal? What's going to drive you? What can you create a picture of or a, some kind of representation? Put it up on your desk, put it up on your bathroom mirror. What's going to excite you in 2021? Anybody have some examples?
Well, for me, I'm in the process of doing a partial house remodel, and I would like to finish the rest of the house next year.
Fantastic. And in order to do that, you need to
Create more business to create more profitability to pay off the process.
right. And how will you feel when that's done? The remodel.
Amazing.
Yeah. So remember the feeling behind the goal as well. That was a great example. Perfect. And we're running out of time. So I don't want to rush through these, but we've been through the really powerful exercises, and the other ones are powerful as well, but you can do them on your own. So CPIs, does anybody remember what that stands for? Yeah, Brett. Critical performance indicators.
Right.
I spoke for you because you were muted. Sorry.
Yep. No problem.
So how do you know you're making progress? What do you need to measure? And how are you going to measure it? So examples include number of leads, percent conversion ratio, number of sales or dollar sales, profit. You can analyze profit per job, per product, per month. And always remember the unit of measure. So that's dollars. Number of appointments, percent turnover. I don't know if any of you saw that video I posted on Facebook, but we are so used to the MBA model of measuring all the hard numbers and actions, and it's the soft things that really can make a huge difference as well. So soft CPIs would be percent turnover of your employees, could be customer satisfaction ratio, could be attrition of customers. That's what you really know. Like if you lose a customer, why did you lose them? What can you improve? And following up and asking them. So that's how we really improve is measuring some of the soft critical performance indicators. Any other measurements you guys want to add? Or you use currently? Number of phone calls. I got the symbol from Simone. And then next exercise, choose one skill set to grow in 2021. And again, identify any stories that you have around that skill set. You know, what's really gonna, the theme of 2021 for a couple people was growth. What's gonna have you grow the most? And remember, there's growing pains. Like Jacob and I were running this morning, I told him a story I heard from a 2-time gold medalist basketball player. And as you can imagine, those workouts were pretty horrendous, and her soreness, her just like aches and pains were really tough. And she had to shift her mindset from the pain of working hard and doing what it took to get to her goal to saying, gosh, this pain is a result of lactic acid. Lactic acid is a signal for my muscles to grow and get stronger and get faster. This pain is exactly what I want. I mean, we don't actually want pain, but it's just an example of a great mind shift so that she could put in the effort that was needed, even though there's, you know, a day or two later, there's consequences. So what can you shift in your skill set? For me, when I was in my career early on, I had an opportunity to become a supervisor, and I was not that great of a supervisor. I was hypersensitive. I was reactive. I wasn't politically astute, but I've carried that forward as if I'm not a good leader. But I've grown so much in my emotional intelligence, in my communications, in my sense. Instead of being oversensitive, I'm sensitive, and I can adjust my questions, my mode of communication. So my skill set to grow in 2021 is leadership, but I have to let go of that old belief that I'm not a good leader and create room to grow in that area. The next exercise, and we've done a lot of work on this year, and we're going to continue in 2021 working on this. And I know pretty much we all want this, is where are your leads going to come from in 2021? Who's your target market? What are your marketing tactics? How often? What's your marketing message? What's your call to action? How are you going to generate leads in 2021? And again, really solidify what results you want. And as you reach milestones along the way, what are the rewards you're going to give yourself and your team?